Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another exclusive interview right here on Miss Hennessy TV. I am your host, Maxine Johns, aka Miss Hennessy. And tonight we have, he's definitely, I wouldn't even say he's a guest, he's family. He's my creative brother in arms. And it's just always lovely to have a revisit and just another catch-up conversation with this incredible artist, Lee Monro. Welcome back to the show, brother. How are you? Happy New Year, by the way.
Happy New Year, Happy Lunar New Year.
Yes.
Merry Christmas, all that. We're just saying it's already a month in, and only got 11 more months to go. Good Lord.
It
But
is.
yeah,
How you been,
yeah,
man? You look well. You look well.
yeah, I'm all right. I'm not gonna lie. It's been a
Yeah.
challenging time since we last spoke, but it's all G. Yeah, no, I think I'm in a really good place at the minute as far as just work, life, music,
Yeah.
family balance. And yeah, not bad. How are you?
Yeah, doing all right, man. Sporting a bit of a, you know what I'm saying?
I actually wanted to compliment you on the hair, to be honest.
Mhm.
Before, yeah, 100%. I'm digging it. I don't know. I think I can, it's
Fun.
just, yeah, it's just got a little bit of
Yeah.
structure there. You know what I
A bit
mean?
of zhuzh, as they
Bit
call
of
it.
yours, and then you got the glasses. I'm
Yeah,
feeling it.
listen, because I don't like age. I don't like getting old. I'm trying to combat, and I feel that maybe a little bit of a haircut, a bit of a frame, so like a reframe, but
Yeah, yeah.
still trying to get out of bed in the morning. It reminds you that that don't matter, okay? Because you ain't
Listen,
walking on your hair, Maxine. So
I do- exactly. But I mean, I think the whole bed thing. Yeah, I know 20-year-olds that can't get out of bed. So listen,
yeah, that's there.
don't
Yeah,
stress on that. Yep.
that's okay. Yeah, you'll know what we mean in a couple of years. But anyway, but thank you very much. I appreciate it. I do try to stay fly. I mean, you stay on fly all the time. I see the
Yeah.
posts. Anyone that follows this man, his shoe game is on point. Just you just wake up and it's like, do the clothes come to you or do you go to the clothes? Like, how does the whole kind of frame up happen with you? Because you're always looking fly, but if I tried
Look,
it, it wouldn't work like that.
I really appreciate that. And listen, I'm not even going to lie. I think I've come a long way in the last couple of years. I've got to, I've got to give Ken's a little bit of a prop for that because, listen, I think we created a little bit of a vibe together. But I don't know. I'm particular about the cut of a shirt. I'm a particular cut of the length of a short. But it's always about the shoes.
Anyway,
Um, you know what I mean. So if they're not good, then you know
I know.
the rest is junk. To be honest with you.
Feel you. I feel you. You
Yeah,
see,
you know.
I know. Listen, we've had this conversation before. You've actually encouraged me a little bit to kind of up that sneaker game because I
Of
was
that sneaker game.
never
I'm
really
surprised.
sneakers.
Where's Jay at for this sort of stuff? Like he should, even if he did some clean, you know,
Yeah,
classics.
he's all about it, but
100.
the bank account can only allow for two of us to have that kind of
Oh right, yeah.
sneaker
You're on the camera. I feel that. Okay, cool.
I'm
Props.
on the come up with the sneakers, but on the other shoe game, I got that on lock. So I
Yeah,
don't
and
mind having that.
that's where I think we sort of failed because Ken's and I were just like splash, 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 splash.
Yeah, no,
500 for you, 500 for me. Yeah, cool, cool. There was no,
yeah.
yeah, no, I
No,
feel
I
that.
feel you. Whereas he's more get whatever you want, babe, and I'm down in the sales section. I'm a bit frugal like that. I can still look fly, but on a little cheaper dime. There's nothing wrong with that. No
But
judgment.
I'm exactly right, and I'm going to say that the man still knows how to dress, so that's all G's. So he's got it. He's sorted.
That's right.
You
That's
know
right.
that. Yeah.
Yep, absolutely. Well, that one's off the bucket list. We've discussed sneakers. So everything else fly with you though. You continue to just create like look, since the last time we spoke and we just realized it's actually been longer than what I thought because I
Mm-hmm.
had you on the show like early on in 2022 and we were obviously discussing a lot of new material that you dropped and obviously your merch is dope and just everything that you were on back then. And I
Mm.
say back then, not like it was back in the 90s, but I'm saying 2022, you had this incredible energy with everything you were releasing. It felt like you were releasing something every week, right?
Mm.
But I think it's just kind of how you incorporate the reels and all of like the funny stuff, and also complementary to you, complements with the funny stuff, like the reels that you've been doing, the comedy side of you. Hello, I know that you're funny, but I didn't
Mm.
know you were funny like that. Like I was like, oh, this is another side of you. It's just levels to your shit.
That's interesting you say that because, you know, to be fair, I feel a lot of what I put on there is conversational and stuff that, you know, say you and I would have a discussion of or
Yes.
have a laugh about, or you know what I mean. I think that it's more, I guess, getting your head around that, you know, and I say this really, I guess, lightly, but yeah, around the editing aspect of it. And you know, and when I say it lightly is because look, it's all within the app and it's
Mm,
all, you know, within the editing features that are on, say, Instagram. Um, and I guess I'll get into why I got into it a little later, but it was more about looking at what I liked from an aesthetic or a style or creative way on the platform and say, okay, cool, how do I inject, I guess, my conversations or my topics or content into that type of edit
mm,
and sort of, you know, make it work. And, you know, comedy, like a lot of stuff, is primarily, in my opinion, about timing and reaction. You know what I mean? So I guess that that's always been something that I've always loved about watching comedy is
yeah.
just like getting the timing and reaction like on point. And a lot of the comedy great guys are really about yeah, the funny face or the reaction face or the or you know the tone inflection like so all
It's
of that.
dope. I'm just
I
gonna tell
appreciate
you
that.
now. It's dope. I
Yeah.
look forward to them whenever I see like you've done a couple and they've some of them stuck in my head, like the one where you the elevator music one.
Oh
That was
yeah.
funny. Like I was like, oh, and he was doing a bit of a two-step shuffle in there. I thought that was dope.
That's
And
all
then
I've got in my repertoire, mind you.
but it
Two
was
steps, all I got.
I
Yeah.
giggled about that for a while because when I
I had a
was
little bit of a body roll in there. If you notice, right at the end, I tried to like you know do the body roll. Yeah.
it was. I loved it. I thought that was great. And there was the other one the other day where you were having the argument with yourself being another guy and you did the finger shushing. I lost it. I laughed
Oh,
so hard because I that stuff cracks me up. I just think that was gold. So it was this was great. I really love that aspect of you because even though you really you're an artist who really grinds hard for his art and for his your for everything that you do creatively, it's really cool to have to see that aspect as well.
yeah.
And like I said, you and I we've known each other for a long time, so I know that of you, but
Yes, yeah, I
other
get you.
people's, oh man, it's just I laugh sometimes. I giggle really loudly, and I can't wait for the next one. So
Yeah, I'm not. I really appreciate that because look, I'll be honest with you as well. Content creation in that regard is a little. It's a new. It's still quite new for me, and I guess I'll touch on it now. Like, I actually used it primarily as, you know, obviously I had a massive life shift as you know, last year that obviously freed up a lot of spare time for me. Um, and so I started to, I guess, get involved in, you know, I wanted to know how to increase my leverage, I guess, online and really start to, I guess, broaden my creative sort of, because I haven't really, I've done the podcast and whatnot, but I haven't really, as far as like performance, done much else other than that, you know. And I know that I've got to get a bit of acting chops. I know I got like comedic sort of acting chops. I know I got that sort of those sort of aspects. So I actually had, and I will say this, and I have to say this very clearly. I've got a really dear friend of mine. His name's Robin Johnson. Um, he is actually an amazing singer. Like I'm a massive fan of him. He was actually on the Voice. I believe it was. Or was it X Factor? Shit, I think it was the Voice. And I apologize for him for stuffing that up. But I think it was the Voice. And he, you know, we just got to talking, and we were talking about like online strategy. And he was just like, "Listen, man," and he was before just before Instagram really was pushing the reels. He was like, "Listen, you got to jump on reels, and you got to start looking." And he just guided me really well. And sure enough, my engagement really started to take off. You know, and I mean, I say this without getting too boring. He actually educated me massively on like watching my engagement, getting the Meta Business Suite, you know, watching what's working when it's working, you know, and funnily enough, over Christmas, I actually took 2 weeks off, or yeah, 2 weeks off socials entirely, where I completely deactivated everything, and my engagement went right down. And in a very short period of time, I was able to get it right back up. So I got to give him massive props for that, because he really assisted me in, I guess, understanding the power of leverage, of engagement, and I'm still like only scratching the surface about I think really understanding it.
Mm.
Um, but there's evidence there to suggest that, you know, like I can still work hard at it and take it further. But I will say though as well, like I'm blessed with the fact that material comes to me relatively easy, because of a lot of it is relative to me. It's relative to my life. It's either about retail, sneakers, R&B, hip hop,
Yeah.
you know, you know, and just everyday sort of
Yeah.
situations for me. So luckily the content's there, but constantly creating, I have to say, it can really be
Yeah.
a full-time job, because I've got to fit it in the pocket of, you know, having 4 kids, and
Yeah.
obviously having a full-time job, and still having music commitments, music artist management commitments, you know, doing all my shows and stuff. So that I have to say, massive respect, because constant creation is, and you would know as well, being a content creator yourself, it's not easy.
It's not easy, but you know what? That's next level, because, and I'm really glad that you've said that, and that you've actually given you've paid homage to some to your friend who's actually helped you sort of kick open that creative, that next level creative door for yourself. Because people look at these reels, and they look at all these, and it looks like it just comes effortlessly, but those who know it doesn't, right? And
Mm.
I think for anybody who's in a creative environment like we are, you're always wanting to elevate your product, your brand, or
Yo,
whatever it is. And for me, entering into that world has been absolutely daunting. And it's still something that, I mean, I'm usually somebody that, like, I've always sort of done my own thing and been able
mm.
to create stuff, but that's creation on a whole other level. And I've looked at reels for a long time, and I've kind of saved the audio on some of those things. And you see people kind of mimicking certain things, and they're really cool. They've got the timing right, but it's a confident thing as well. And it's like not wanting to jump on the bandwagon with all of that, but also infuse like your own kind of authenticity to it. You've done that. You've
I'm
done
actually, that's crazy that you said that, because you know that exact thing, and I guess that this is something that's probably like good for us to even chat about here, like just you and I, you
yeah,
know, and but it isn't obviously within here, like that. I'm not safe from that. Like that is exactly, even with, I guess you see where I'm at with it, and you know whatnot. I still had the same reservations, because you know the funny thing is, and I'm actually going to say this because this is, I don't know if this is going to open up a conversation, but you know, a lot of my humor is black humor,
yeah,
right? As far as like what I watch is
yeah,
not necessarily white humor. Um, and you know, like a lot of the comedians that I grew up on and listened to are like, you
mm,
know, are black and American, and you know, African American. So it's funny that a lot of the comedy I gravitate towards is actually not necessarily in the pocket of my fan.
yeah.
Does that make sense?
It does
So I
absolutely.
I actually have this really weird conflict where like I'll hear something that I think's hilarious and that I like really resonates with me, but I know that it's not necessarily going to make sense to somebody that's watching me.
Yeah,
So I'm always towing this line of, you know, it's funny you say that confidence is like, am I confident enough that this is actually going to hit the way that I intend it to? But
yeah,
I know it's probably going to miss on a couple of levels. People that know me, like someone like you will watch it and be like, bro,
yeah. Nailed it every
hilarious.
time. Yeah.
But then there's going to be so much else where it's like so many other people will be like, you
But
know,
you know
like,
what it is, though. You know what saves it. It's just, again, it's your expressions, and
mm,
it's the timing. Because you'll say, I'm like the one with the elevator music. That's not black
mm.
or white humor. That's just
No, that one wasn't. I'm talking about the
that.
verbal audios.
But it's
Yeah,
like it's just even some of like the like the hip hop ones, like where you're in like the studio or something like that. To me, that's almost like a little peek into what it's like when you're recording and you've got a room full of all these Aussie hip hop boys trying to have a go at, you know, doing what you do, and you're kind of like trying to school them. And it's just, listen, I think it's it's just
Mm,
it's gold for me. There's levels of honesty to it because it is a lived reality, and I think
mm,
that's what that whole reels world is like, and like that whole social media thing. It's got to be relatable, and even if it
mm.
isn't to some, there's still got to be something that connects the person to you. And I think you've been able
Yeah.
to successfully do that, even though, you know, you've just obviously mentioned what you've mentioned about the type of comedy you watch, as opposed to maybe it missing the mark with some of your fans, but they'll still watch it because they find you interesting enough and they want to hear what you have to say, and they know that what you'll put out will be entertaining. The fear for
Mm,
somebody like me, I'm not an entertainer, right? I'm a, you know,
right.
sort of like, you know, interviewing and like writing and that sort of stuff. So for me to do a reel, and I've been encouraged to do it too, to also then engage with the audience. But it's like, yeah, there's a couple of things there that stop me from doing it because I don't want to, like, again, say jump on the bandwagon and look like I'm just trying something that I shouldn't try. But there are
Mm,
moments there
yeah.
where I'm like, I can do this. That'd be funny.
Well,
Would I?
it's funny you say that as well. Yeah, would you? But and I think that a lot of people have the reservations. I guess that the other thing is like there is quite a daunting aspect of it is knowing you're going to go into it and you can't just do the one that's going to be funny.
Yeah.
You might nail one, but you know that as soon as you open up that door, you have to follow it up. And that was actually a big one, was learn and a big learning. And again, like I've got to give a shout out to my mate Rob. And if anyone I have to say it's I am Robin. His at is IAMROBN. So I will just say that. But he was like, you have to do a reel a day for 30 days.
Wow. Oh,
This is what he made me do. And it was like, I learned very, very fast what it requires to be a content creator in that way. Because I got it, I got there, I like delivered. And then the good thing is then it takes the pressure off because once you do 30 days of reels, then you know sort of what hits, what misses, timing and stuff like that. But also then the requirement for you to do it all the time isn't there's not as much pressure. You know what I mean? I can do now one.
yeah.
I've just ramped it up recently as well to get my engagement back up, but I could do one every couple of days and I would still get the same engagement, which is good. Takes the pressure off after a while.
Well, if it ain't broke, just keep doing it because it's
That's it.
wildly entertaining. I love it. And yeah, look, I think it just, again, it releases another level of your fabulousness and your creativity. And
I
yeah,
appreciate that. Thank you.
it's dope. Um, music stuff, man. Like, congrats on everything from when we last spoke to now. Um, I just, Lee, like it's just like watching you. It's like a masterclass, if I can say that, in hustle and in like that determination to be such a like a one of the most hardworking independent artists that I would say that I know. And I know
Appreciate
this
that.
shit ain't easy, but
Oh,
it's just, have you ever thought, and I know that you've probably been asked this before, and I know that obviously you and I have worked with, 4E, where you've done workshops and you've kind of, like you're really about sort of helping like the youth sort of find their
hmm
voice. But in terms of like that whole artist management type of thing, or like that um, self run artist, right? When I say masterclass, I mean that because it's you've been in this industry for a very long time, and
yeah.
you've been, signed to, major label, you've
Mm.
gone through name change, you've gone through management change, you've done everything from the rooter to the tutor with your career, and you're here still standing with a lot of war stories to tell. Um,
Yep.
but your music obviously tells it, and that sort of hustle and that drive speaks it every
Mm.
day. Looking from like the last year, I guess, right? There's been a lot of growth. What's been the one of the biggest learning challenges for you between from the last time we spoke to now, with in terms of like where how your music has changed or has grown?
Um, I guess, I guess, you know, it's been probably more of a personal learning last year. You know, like the last year has been um difficult to create, and you know, I mean, it's just so funny. I'm not normally sure for words. It's been difficult to create because it's been a really emotional year. Like, and you know, I've been depressed because of my life shift, like insanely so.
Yeah.
I've still had responsibilities, obviously, that you do when you're at my age and whatnot, and you know, unfortunately, what's been really tough has been that, and it's hard for people to understand, but I don't have the luxury of being a hermit,
Mhm.
really, because what a lot of people probably don't understand, or they do understand on a particular level, but like, you know, creating positive stuff when you're really negatively in a negative mind space, and like, I guess trying to remain a positive role model to so many other people, and I guess a social responsibility that, you know, I do enjoy and I do love, so I don't want to take away from that, like, you know, oh, what was me, you know. However, to be able to, I guess, live up to that, and um, find ways, and this gets to the learning, I guess, find ways to still create, still be positive for others when you really are finding it hard to have energy for yourself
Yeah.
and care for yourself, while navigating the whole thing has probably been my biggest learning. You know, I've still managed to create. The reels were actually like a little bit of a, I guess, a healing thing for me. You know what I mean? So it's really awesome to hear. I guess just from a, you know, you know, from a outsider's perspective, that it's
Mm.
had such a positive impact, and you know that people are watching and being entertained, because you know ultimately that's great as well to hear. Um, Musically, it has taken a bit of a hit, because like what I'm really finding frustrating is that like a lot of my, obviously, writing is really geared to the one topic. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, which um, I don't want to make too public, because I'm actually in a really good place with it. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? And I don't. I wear a lot of my heart on my sleeve, as you said. You know what I mean? I am someone that's quite public, and I do want to talk through things so that other people, I guess, can feel, you know, safe, and you know, feel as though, you know, there's other people that are going through the same
Yeah.
thing. Simultaneously, just completely out of respect for like my family and, you know, the people I love. You know, like there's some elements that I probably just want to keep out of it. So creatively, musically, it's been difficult. I've actually found it a lot easier to collaborate with people, because
Oh,
there's less of my personal stuff in there, and I'm
yeah.
able to disconnect a little, and I guess just tap into their world. I find the writing a lot easier, and I can still be active and I can still contribute to somebody else's product.
Yeah.
Whereas, yeah, probably for my own stuff, it's taken a little bit of a hiatus. Weirdly enough, I did actually write an EP, and maybe we did speak on this, but on our last one, but I did write an EP in lockdown that was actually, I guess, a lot of subconscious writing, and I tapped into a bit of stuff that I finished it up with a producer called Colored Noise that you know, is probably one of my most cohesive and best works that I've done for a long time.
Mm.
I just got some exciting news that a street brand that like seeds me product and sort of sponsors me from Indonesia. They're keen to do a collaboration like T-shirt with it. Um, so I just had that news. I'm hoping to get to Jakarta next month, hopefully, if everything, if the stars align, to do launch this t-shirt over there with this brand. But yeah, I guess, you know, a lot of that is, I guess, stuff that's coming positively off not, and the biggest learning is like, don't stop, one way or another, create, because I think that had I have stopped, that I would have lost a lot of opportunity. Like, you know, I went to New Zealand and toured over there with Poetic, which was amazing. Did a show in Brisbane. You know, I've been doing workshops still and being able to teach some kids, and you know, they give me feedback and tell me that I've had such a positive impact on them, and they're staying out of trouble, and they're not getting
Yeah.
into the drugs and alcohol and stuff like that. So I've been able to have all this positive impact, and so that energy's been reciprocated and helped me sort of get through some stuff. So yeah, I think that the biggest learning is, you know, is like, you know, make sure to, you know, keep at it.
Because it
Um,
is hard, you know, just hearing you, even trying to find the words to piece together when you're going through something that is life changing, right? And especially
mm,
when it's on a personal tip. For most of us, you know, creativity is not just our outlet, it is who we are. And
yes.
um when you're, you know, deeply affected by, you know, something, whether it's health or relationships or family or whatever it is, you know, I know for myself, I become so consumed with whatever it is that is
Mm,
um, the concern that the creative stuff is the last thing that I have any energy to look at, yet it's the one thing that can keep you going. Like you just said, if you had stopped, you know, you probably wouldn't have gotten into the reels, which has now opened up this whole other world for you and connected to other people and was like a cathartic experience for you during, you know, some of your sort of darker times. But
mm,
it's so challenging for somebody who also myself who, you know, I struggle with a lot of, you know, anxiety. The last few months was really challenging, and listening to you kind of, you know, talk a little bit about your stuff and those sort of dark moments, you know, I don't think it was sort of touching on depression for me, but I have, you know, performance anxiety and just anxiety in general. Um,
yeah,
so, and it can be quite debilitating, you know, and
absolutely.
for a person who's sort of in her head a lot, and a lot of what I do in my kind of content creating is, you know, the interviews. Who do I want to interview? How do I build up this channel to be something that is authentic and real conversation that people can learn from? And, you know, how to get somebody, you know, how to ask somebody to interview them. And then also the books I'm writing, how much time do I put into that? And then I'm studying as well. And I'm a mom and a wife and a
Mm,
teacher and all these things that feed off you, yet, you know, you're just trying to fill your cup. Like it's really challenging when you're in
100,
a dark space to be able to keep the light of creation on. So to hear you
100%.
say
And
that,
like,
yeah,
there's two other things that I wanted to, like, you know, it was hard because like when it initially happened, like, you know, with or depression and anxiety, they're both like time-based
yeah,
issues mentally. Do you know what I mean? Anxiety is like fear of like what is to happen. Depression is fear. Depression is a feeling of, you know, sadness because of something that has happened.
yeah,
So there's past and future. They're both time sort of related things, and they have other, you know, being in this like public eye as well. Like I had people, like I dropped, and again, like I'd lost like 13 kilos in a very short period of time. So people were commenting on my weight. Um, and I would be going from, you know, sometimes like crying, like really crying and like not want to get out of bed, like,
yeah,
you know what I mean? To then having to, my commitment for today is I have to do this reel or create, I have to do this verse, or, you know what I mean? And, yeah, it is tough. And I know, you know, you and I have to say as well, like, I know, you know, people, we know each other really well. You know, we've had discussions about some really serious stuff. You know what I mean? That has really changed courses of our lives, right? Like, you know, And so, yeah, like, that sort of stuff is real, but it is possible as well. Like, I don't
Yeah.
want to make it sound like a massive drag. I guess that and even the fact that, we're having this chat now,
Yeah.
this stuff is all still rolling and it's still there as a, as that creative light, it can be done.
Yeah.
But it is that relatability piece. People do have to understand as well, like, yep, they're not alone. That the shit's real. It does happen. No one's safe. You know what I mean? Like,
Absolutely. And you know what I really love is I feel that you kind of fit into this space a little bit as well. But I find that a lot of, especially like the TikTok content creators, like that's a whole world. Geez, I'd like to jump in there, but I don't think they really. She
mm,
says that she knows she's not. But I love the fact that there's a lot of content creators out there that are really speaking to that particular
mm,
area of the internet where people are alone, feel like they don't have anybody to talk to. The first time I actually saw it, and I don't think this is what you do, but I think you do kind of fill a little bit of a space in that, just making people laugh, or maybe having someone go, oh yeah, I've felt like that before. And you're not actually talking to the person, but you know what I'm saying, like some of the content creators actually go in and go, how are you doing today? And I was kind of a bit weirded when I saw a couple of them do
yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah.
Then I've gone, wow, like there are people that need that. And
Yep,
like God bless those people that are doing that. If that's filling somebody else's cup, I think that's massive. But that's
yep.
just how incredible that this whole reach is with, creating that real sort of feel good, honest, sort of authentic content.
I do slip some of those in there as well. Like every now and then, I do reels about, I guess, probably less about myself and more about holistic situations, because I do, I guess, take inspiration off. I might see how I might have had a conversation with someone else,
Mm.
and they may have been made to feel the way because somebody else hasn't respected
Yeah,
them.
yeah,
So I might broach my opinion, I guess, of that on my channel, you know
yeah,
what I mean, or on my accounts, to sort of say, like, like, for example, there was one that I remember that I just had to mention that, like, you don't know what people are going through on
yeah,
any given day. So, like, it doesn't hurt just to, I suppose, not be an asshole. Sort of
yeah,
what was sort of like the tip that I was on. But actually, that reel had sort of like less. It had nothing to do with me. I had just, for whatever reason, opened up a conversation with someone else, and they just turned around and said, "You know what? I'm actually really shit, and this happened to me today."
mm,
And the interaction that they had the other person just was unnecessarily an asshole to somebody that I know that had been going through some stuff. So for me, I was just like, man, this is something that, like, I guess people
yeah,
need reminding of. You know what I mean? It's like, just be kind, because you don't know. And then I think about all the close people around me that are going through stuff, and I just go, like, I would hate for them to be spoken to like that on those days.
yeah.
You know what I mean? So
And
yeah,
that's
so
that's another thing that I think kind of keeps me sort of not wanting to get into it. It's just some of the comments. There's some unhinged people out there.
yeah. I
And
mean, they got their issues too.
honestly, man, and it's
Mm.
just like I read some comments and I just think, yo, like not everything deserves a response, but some people you just want to tell them, listen, like this is just not the page for you. Like keep it moving. But it's such
Karma will tell them.
it's really it's really challenging, like, and especially for like an empath like myself, I find
Mm.
it really challenging. But you know I'm inspired every day to give it a go, and I think when the time is right, I'd love to be able to start creating a couple. But I think, yeah, it's real enjoyable watching your stuff. Like it's like you've
Oh,
really touched on something there, so much like you did when
I
you
appreciate it.
no, you're very welcome, much like
Thank
you
you.
did when you were doing your Godzilla. Are we seeing a return of that at some stage?
It's funny, some people have sort of filled that space a little. I don't want to say the same, but I don't think it necessarily is. I think I've got my own sort of thing with it. But
Yeah,
the production aspect of Godzilla was very challenging. I'll be
yeah,
honest with you.
yeah. Imagine.
Particularly for the way I wanted it curated. and mind you, I wanted to build it to better than where it was even.
Mm.
But it was just tough because you do need a production team. You know, you do need
Yeah.
more to it, and I really did like that because a lot of my interactions are really, you know, it's important to see me in a space with someone like live for my content, and yeah, it's just very time consuming, and you know, at the time, even I remember it was taking me away from my family on nights, and that was hard.
Yeah.
You know, that's hard to like have a family, like a night away from your family, and
Yeah.
like, you know, for you're doing it for the right reasons and like for opportunities, and
Absolutely.
ultimately in the back of your mind, it's like I'm hoping to create and maintain this so as to create fruitful opportunities so that, you know, then I can then in turn give back to my family,
Mm.
and you know, I can actually bring my family along and stuff like that. Um but trying to maintain the team and I guess encourage and inspire them to do it continuously as well, when ultimately, you know, like, yeah, it's not their project. So I'm not going to say no to Godzilla. I have had a lot of people ask me about it because they want to see me continue it. But I
Yeah.
guess that I'd have to be probably mostly just in the right position for somebody else, I guess, to contribute and really be as locked into it as I am. That's
Yeah.
probably the biggest thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is really really hard. I mean, even just even doing like maintaining a YouTube channel, right? For me, wanting to start Miss Hennessy TV was purely out of the love of what I've been doing for the last 20, nearly 25 years, which is
Mm-hmm.
connecting and talking to, you know, artists and creatives, here and abroad. It's what I built my brand on. But trying to, keep up with the times, and obviously with modern technology and how everything's changing and streaming and this, that, and the third, you get into different spaces, and yeah, you got to cotton on real quick to how how to roll in it.
Mate,
And
what
it's
do they call it? Baptism by fire? Is that what they say? Is that what
it
they
is
call it?
absolutely, it is
Mm.
definitely. So you obviously, you saying that about Godzilla, I mean, God, you guys made it look so easy, but
I
anybody
mean,
who knows
yeah,
it is time consuming.
I'm
It's
gonna tell you, there was the stars aligned on a few things, and I have to give a massive shout out to Ricky from Open Source, Eski from Open Source slash Montreal Street Uni. Um, they really we had one production meeting about it. It was like after a a, a charity gig that I'd done out there for Open Source. It was the first time I'd met Ricky. We're driving back. I remember having a chat, and that day, Ricky and Eski came over my house for pizza, and it was literally all the kids, cans, like, you know, we literally eating pizza. Like, can't remember, we played games even. I think maybe even like Uno. We were playing. We had this one production meeting. We actually tried. We went too hard on the first episode, which was with
right.
Mr. Mez, and we overshot. Like we did this crazy camera and all this sort of crap, and you know, and the editing was taking too long, too long to get back, and we were sort of like, what do we do with this next episode? And then Ricky thankfully was just like, hey, I found a like a hack basically. I've got this app, it's called Switcher. I can literally live, I'll just get a mixing desk, give you the mics, and I can switch between the cameras live, so we can record it, and I just sit there, switch between the
Wow.
cameras, so we can actually make it look more dynamic as we go.
Yeah.
That was like a godsend, because then what we literally did was we went, sat, recorded. He would just switch between the cameras as people were chopping and changing. Because it wasn't on an app, we could preload the introduction screen,
Wow.
like a, you know, and literally what we would do is that night we'd just press save to the file, and just literally send it off into the Dropbox, and then Jeff, and big shout out to Jeff Molotov, my editing and graphics guy. Um, he would just like chop and edit it and then upload it. So it was not. Thankfully, there was like just a hack on a process that like I'm keen to like drop knowledge on that to anyone that will listen.
Because
But
it's hard, because that's the one thing too for me, that you want your shows to appeal to people, and you want people to want to watch and to want to engage. And the conversation is dope, but you want to have the graphics and this, that, and the third. And it's just, if you don't know the right people, it can feel quite
It's a
isolating.
lot.
It's
100%.
a lot
And
for
we're so behind. There's so much, like, you think you found something out, and then 15 minutes later they created something else that's better. Like, like, what's going on?
Absolutely. I've had to
Mm.
teach myself to do, because I do all my own stuff, like with this, and it's great, but to take it to the next level and, just learning. And I'm not a very, I'm not, I won't say I'm not, IT educated, but in terms of knowing all of these different apps, unless you
Mm.
know that, then you're good. But if you don't, you're like, where am I going? What the fuck am I doing? So
And I
I,
have to say, a lot of people, and this, but this is, I guess, just out to everyone else. This is something I've been saying a lot recently. A lot of people underestimate the power of connection and of with somebody else,
yeah,
because thankfully a lot of what I got a lot of ideas. You've got a lot of ideas. Execution when it's a one person show is very difficult. So it's really important to maintain and place with the utmost importance relationships with your creative peers, because they will be the ones that at some stages will save your ass.
absolutely.
But then the other problem is just like when you've got a couple of kids and stuff like that, maintaining those relationships and having those phone calls and time spent with those, it's difficult because your priority is obviously your family,
Yeah.
and so yeah, it does. It's sort
It
of,
is it is
it's a tough
challenging, but
line.
can I throw another spanner in the works? Do you, for a long time though, there too, do you also think, and is it because our community is so small, you don't want it to be oversaturated? Do you also think sometimes it could be a trust issue that people don't talk about their ideas?
Yeah, look, I think it's there sometimes. I'm going to sound like a cocky bastard right now,
No,
but like,
I've thrown
uh,
the question out there because I feel it, right?
yeah, sometimes I feel like, oh, but what I love seeing someone try to execute my idea, because they're just so shit at it. So I know that I could walk in and steamroll it with like just my version of the same idea, and people will be like, "Oh, that's hilarious!" And they'll be like, "Oh yeah, well I was doing that idea." You know how many people come up to me and go like, Lee, I saw you do Godzilla podcast. You know what? I was thinking of doing that. I'm like, do it,
Yeah,
do it, let it. I don't, like, um, so I think that yes, sometimes you are a bit sensitive. I do also believe in the power of the individual and the flavor that they bring to the same idea. I
yeah,
think that a lot of things that are popular are actually rehashed ideas with somebody's personal individual
yeah.
spin on it. And I think that people are like fingerprints. Like they're never going to do something the same as the next person. And so they're going to resonate with an entirely different pocket of people, irrespectively, even just by their mannerisms, nature,
That's true.
the way, so yeah, I think there's sometimes it is trust issues. But also I'm just like, fuck it, do it.
Let's
Do
see.
your thing.
Do your thing. I love it.
Do
I
your
love it.
thing. Yep.
Um, So you touched a little bit on earlier speaking about gone to New Zealand.
Mm.
You did some sort of awesome tour work there. You were also on tour with some really cool hip hop legends last year. Onyx, who came to perform here in Sydney. Was it an Australian tour or is it just a Sydney, a couple like Sydney Melbourne show? What was the deal like?
But no, they did do Brisbane. They did do. I'll tell you a funny story. Actually, this will be a good little
Because I
outtake.
know that there was some shit that went on down on that. I know that you have some stories.
I always have stories. But okay, so it was Australia. So they did do Brisbane, Sydney, Melbourne, Adelaide, Perth. They didn't do New Zealand.
Wow, that was like
Uh,
a full Australian tour.
they were supposed to do New Zealand, but they didn't. But yeah, so 5 cities. Um, and yeah, that was an interesting one for me because that's the first time I ran a show.
Wow.
So the promoters from Perth, a big shout out to Jab from Launch Australia. But he's a promoter from Perth who I've got a lot of love for. He's sort of like I say like for promoters wise, for the small to medium sort of shows, he's sort of like one of those big bros. Do you know what I mean? Who like that's his field. He schools me on a lot of stuff, but
Right.
he sort of thankfully gave me an opportunity to I guess you know cut my teeth on promotion and the running of an event. So
Wow, well done.
but so he obviously was primary dealer with the venue, but I was following up on venue support acts, marketing, running of the actual night, making sure the support acts were on time.
Okay.
Double, double checking and working with them with security, DJ, or no, so a lot of organization pulling it all together. We ran an incredibly successful night. I took a lot of stress off him, which I was really happy for. But it was work, like he took care of me, like so. It was, but it was a really positive experience and made it so that although it was stressful, I wouldn't mind doing it again.
Right.
Um, but yeah, it was funny to see also, these guys that I looked up to, and I have to say, Sticky Fingers and Fredro, great guys, absolute veterans, class acts. As far as I have to say, like even though things are stressful and
Yeah.
they're just like going back to back, they always did their promo. They did so they although there was a few stresses, they worked with it, made it happen, and were real that underground and put on like an amazing show. You
Wow.
know, like they still rock the shit out of it, man. It was so dope. So yeah, but yeah, like I did get to see Sticky at a bit of a frustrated time, and it was wild
In a
seeing him.
sticky moment. No.
He had a sticky moment, yeah, and and he was losing it, and like and I was actually sitting there and listening to him lose it, in his voice, and like I could just hear,
Wow.
him like back in when I was 16, listening to their tracks and just so it was wild, you know but yeah, it was great, but I have to say irrespective of anything, they were utmost professionals, and made sure they're taking all the photos of the fans, making sure they're doing the meet and greets, making sure they
That's what's
well,
up.
yeah,
That,
it was really dope to see.
do they have, I mean, look, I'm a huge I look, I'm an Onyx fan, but I am a huge Fred Star fan. Like I think
Because the acting and shit too.
yeah, a little bit of that. And then he had that track Jay loves every time I say he had the one If I Could Make a Perfect Chick. Remember that song?
No,
Yeah.
can't remember it.
Fred
You can
Star
send that to me.
Perfect Chick. It's actually perfect
Yeah,
BITCH.
yeah,
But
yeah, yeah.
yeah, we'll do the nice version. And I just love that song. And I know it was probably a bit of a I mean, listen, I liked it. I'm just gonna put it out there, don't judge me.
Yeah,
So,
no, no
because
judgment.
like I'll try and explain it and then I end up judging myself. So yeah, I always thought he was dumb. I do
Yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah.
New leaf, Maxine.
You,
You put it out
you
there,
gotta,
let it land
yeah, you
where it
gotta
lands.
stop that. You gotta stop that shit.
Let it land where it lands, baby. Just do what you gotta do.
Facts.
So yeah, so when I saw that, I was like, oh, that's dope. I didn't know that you were kind of like really like full behind the scenes with that stuff too. So
Mm.
that would
It
have given
was interesting, and
yeah.
like it's funny playing the promoter slash support act card.
That is
Yeah,
such a different hats for me. Like
you name it. And then then I host the night. Like, what am I doing?
can you imagine you in these three frames? Like, is it ready? Are you ready to go? Okay, cool. And then you're doing your thing and you get off and you're like, and tonight we're gonna be
No,
here.
no, no shit. Yeah, facts. Like, I wasn't a host for that night, but it was like this. I was like, yo, la 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 la. And then I'm like, cool. Then I'm getting off the stage, put the mic down. I'm like, right, who's on next? Like, okay, cool, chop, chop. Like straight. Then I'm like back to the sound. I'm like, yo, the fallback over here was fucked up. Like, we need
Wow.
this. I'm like back to security. I'm going upstairs. Like, how are we counting these tickets? Like, cool. What's the count? Go back downstairs, and people coming up. Other supporters coming up. Hey Lee, I need this. Be like, yep, yeah, sweet, no worries. And then Javier's calling. Be like, hey, I need you to let Onyx in on this door. Go upstairs. And yep, I'm like, sweet. He's like, kick these people out of the green room. I'm like, all right, you motherfuckers, get out. Like just wild.
Lee, you need
Like
to come on stage for your second song. I'm down there.
100%. Go up, rip a verse, come back down. Yeah, so it's funny. It's a funny
Oh,
one.
I love it. I love it.
Uh,
So you're going to be doing a little bit more of that multitasking this year, or
Look, man, I gotta slow down. I gotta. I think I gotta
pick a
start
lane,
channeling.
Lee Monro. Pick a lane.
I can't pick a lane because none of them are fucking paying me well enough yet. I'm
Ah,
telling you that much, huh?
listen. I feel
Preaching to the choir. Nah.
you don't need to
So
be trained because you're good at them all. So
I'll
just
keep,
find the sweet spot.
I'm trying to bang on every door until one fucking hits the money. That's all I'm doing. You know,
Feel
I'm
you,
not,
man.
I'm knocking on doors until Elon Musk answers.
We don't really need Elon.
No, I don't need him. I need his money.
We need. We can do to him what he did to Twitter, maybe. Go in,
Oh yeah,
him out, and then there you go.
yeah. I don't know, but no, it's I've got to do a few things. Like I've got a few things like in the mix this year. I want to do CP. Um, I think I'm still just settling as far as my personal life goes and just finding the sweet spot there. So I'm sort of not trying to rush that. I'm just trying to make sure that that's good.
Yeah,
Um, and I still got music. I still got collabs coming out. I still got there's a lot of material that's
that's dope.
sitting in the pipeline, stuff that I've worked on in the last 12 months that are still sitting around.
Are
I
you
don't know
still doing
actually.
the cipher stuff that you do, like with all of like the up and coming sort of rap? I remember you were doing that sort of. Well, I don't think you were jumping on the mic, but you'd like host a night where there were like all these new up and coming artists and stuff. You still doing that sort of stuff?
No, I used to go. I'd go down to Block to Block. I am thinking of putting nights on this year, because I just feel as though a lot of the time, and you'll appreciate when I say this as well. I know for a fact, a lot of the time, like a lot of these groups always curate the same shit with the same lineup with the same people. I'm one of the least discriminatory, least sort of gatekeeping people there are, and so like I'm really broadly opportunistic for people. So like I want to give many people opportunity in many pockets. So as a result, I want to try and curate my own shows. And yeah, so I will try and do that this year for sure. But yeah, other than that though, like I also part of me thinks I've got to slow down a bit. The fuck it, well, I
Yeah,
got some time. Maybe I'll be productive.
I feel you. It's just that whole slowing down concept is it's kind of foreign to us though. Even though I feel like where my life is now to where it was maybe 10 years ago, hella slow.
Mm,
But when I look at the things I do, I think it's just maybe how we pace ourselves now because we've got kids. Our kids are growing up, so the focus tends to be on the kids for a small amount of time, and then it's also on us for a small amount of time. There's like pockets of it, right? Whereas
mm,
before, even before kids, it was obviously just on yourself, right? So you were able to jump from spot to spot. We might not be jumping as much, but you got your hand in a. There's always hands in different pies, and I think that's great. I'm all about multiple streams of income over here. Um,
have to be.
you have to be, man.
Mm.
It's
I think it's just life these days. It's
easy.
not even creatives. I think just everyone's got to have, just their eyes,
Yeah.
or their peripheral vision on, you know.
Absolutely. Um,
Mm.
but yeah, no, yeah, I don't know if you need to slow down. I think it's probably just maybe choose the passion projects that maybe speak to you a little bit more stronger,
Well,
and
yeah,
that's
and I think that like a lot of the time, like truth be told, like I'm not going to say like I'm consciously neglecting things or anything. Like I just want to, I'm actually a person that when my foundations are really like rocked, you know, man,
yeah,
I find it hard to focus and
I feel you.
stuff like that. So I really just want to work at being
Getting the
good
foundation solid.
personally and in the foundations so that I can, be a bit stronger. Because I'll be honest with you, like a lot of the stuff that's been coming out has been through, yeah, it might appear one way, but it's like my foundations are really rocky. So like it's sort of like it affects my confidence with what I'm executing. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? And I
Yeah,
don't, I want to be able to deliver for myself. I want my foundations to be better so I can release with more confidence. Because then when I can do that, I can do it with more assertiveness. I can push it harder and stuff like that as well. You know what I mean?
absolutely. And it's more authentic when it's like that too. You don't feel forced, like it's like a fabricated form of
Well, that's true. That's a big point too. Yeah.
really live in such a fabricated society at the moment. I'm tired of the just sharing for hella likes. It's not what it's
Actually,
about.
100%. And can I actually, while you just said that, sharing for the sake of sharing almost, somebody asked me a question today, because for those who don't know and anyone that gives a fuck to listen, so I've got a thing on my Instagram now that if you want to be more involved about the behind the scenes and actual functionality and
Yes.
whatnot, you have to request on my Instagram and I'll add you to a close friends list. So only close friends see that story. So there's people that have like basically sort of like subscribed to it, but you know what I mean? Um, and one of the people that are on the list today, he actually had asked, what's the best way to market, you know? And I sort of said, I'm I'm a bit confused when you ask me that question. Not, I can only do what I do.
Yeah.
I said monetarily, and I guess from a tangible way as far as profitability goes, like I probably don't think I'm there yet. However, from an integrity standpoint, I think that I'm good at it. And because there are certain parameters that I work within with regards to ensuring that what you do get on those reels and what you do get in my content
Yeah.
is actually me. It's never for the sake of putting out content. It's always because you are getting a piece of who I am.
Yeah.
And whether it be comedic, opinion, music, art, creativity, any of those sort of pockets. I think that's a big thing. Don't put it out for the sake of doing it. Put it out because it is you and it's genuine to yourself.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But yeah, again, you've you've never been about that. So I think
That's motherfucking facts, for better or for worse.
about that. So yeah, I would definitely agree with you on that. So, I guess for us to sort of wrap this catch up conversation up,
Mm,
it's always such a pleasure to talk to you because like for again, like you said, the two of us, we've known each other for a long time. We've seen each other go through our different peaks and sort of valleys within this crazy game called hip hop and
mm.
particular community that we just
Is Australian hip hop.
continuously it's a law unto itself, people. But it's always such for me, like you're incredibly inspiring because again, you wear your heart on your sleeve and you do it because you know that other people out there will learn from it and will resonate with you, and that there's a bravery to that, even if at the moments when you're not feeling like that, to be able to still get up and create and to reach people, I think it's actually bigger than hip hop. It's a global conversation. It's a way in which you can reach people just through the art of conversation, which is why I do what I do. So I I'm always inspired by you, Lee, constantly.
I
Um,
appreciate that.
and obviously your music just, yeah, it keeps getting better and better. And I know you've got something that you're thinking of releasing soon. You've asked
Yeah,
for
most
feedback
definitely.
from
Yeah.
friends. And we've told you it should have been released before, and we're looking forward to it. So I guess watch the space, right?
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, I got a few things in the pipeline. I do have um a track that I put up on my reels the other day that got really positive feedback, so we'll probably jam that out. And then I've got another project, yeah, like I said before, that I definitely got to get out this year. But ultimately, I'm telling you, and I'll say this like right now, like this year, like I'm not saying that I've ever fucked around, but like this year, like I'm not fucking around. Like I got to take care of business, like for my family, and like it's like jump on board.
You've been warned. Can I tell you though, you
Absolutely.
the last time you made this admission was on my radio show on Kuri Radio, and it
Mm,
was post COVID. And I think you were starting, like you were I think releasing, I don't know if it was an EP or there was a single, I
mm,
forget. You came on the station. Jay and I were at the radio station that Sunday, and you got in the mic, and I was like, is there going to be a beef? I can't remember. I was so embarrassed that I even said it, but it felt very Hot 97 circa 1997, like a beef with like calling people out. And you were like, yeah, and come down to the station and I'm ready to go and rah, rah. And Jay was egging you on. And I was like, we don't have security here. If some shit pops off, Lee's got to go downstairs, go to the station by himself. I can't help him. I don't know what's going to happen. But it had that vibe because you were like, I'm in business. I'm putting my like I'm doing this. I'm ready, and shit, you were ready because you went out and you released, and it was that like I felt it was like a song. I don't know if you released a song a month or it was something like that, but you set a challenge and it was on my show. I don't know if
I
you
was busy at
remember
that.
it,
I was
but it
busy at that
was
time. Yeah, 100%.
far
And
out. So you're doing it again on my show.
I'm
So
just, I've had just yeah, I've got to do it. And I guess there's always a degree of like me holding people accountable
yeah.
in the scene. Some people don't like it. I guess I test their comfortability
Mhm.
um to a degree. But yeah, but that being said, when I say this, it's more about I guess personal growth,
Yeah.
personal growth and development. And this is not, this is less I guess about yeah, calling people out and being like, yo, you better get, but it's more about like, yeah, I call myself, this God, this is why I say, Godzilla. I guess I know, self proclaim,
Yeah.
Kobe Bryant called himself the Black Mamba. So you know what I mean? Like he gave himself a nickname. I'll give myself the nickname of Godzilla because I'm sort of like that guy that'll come up and he's like, he's on your side, and he's like saving your city. But like at the same time, a few people are killed and, a lot of buildings are destroyed and, like there's probably like a few things that are shook up while the good deeds are being done. And then he just fucks off back into the water and doesn't return for a couple of years. So,
Okay. I,
I think that's a good analogy for like, I guess my,
yeah,
um,
I get
yeah,
it.
but
I
yeah.
get it. Um, Now before you go and wreck shit up,
Mm.
if I can ask, obviously, the moments that you've kind of come through when even though you were creating, can I ask you who you draw your inspiration from, like musically? Like when you're in your moments, like where, not dark and gloomy, but just where you're in your moments where you want to create, you're not sure what you're going to create, but you're still drawing inspiration. Who are the artists that you listen to get you back on track?
I don't,
Really?
yeah,
Is that
not anymore.
because hip hop shit or
No, not at all. Like, it's funny, I feel weird about this because it's not that I'm not with current music, but like for example, I'm quite organic with the way that like I let things come across me.
yeah,
Like so there, um, for example, like Mackenzie's always showing me dope shit. You know what I mean? So she'll be like, oh, like we might be in the car or I haven't seen it for a little bit, and she'll be like, oh fuck, listen to this, and she'll be like, bang, bang, bang. I'll be like, all right, dope, dope, maybe not, dope, dope. You know what I mean? So I'll find it there, or like I'll be in a retail store and someone might be
yeah,
playing something, and I'll be like, but there's never really a timeline to it. It's always just like I could be like, yo, this is dope. What's this? And they'll be like, oh man, this has been out for like 4 years. And I'll be like, oh cool. Well, I've never heard it. But like speaking to me for now. Um, and so, but as far as like who I listen to, man, I guess it's more. I don't look to get inspiration off them. Everything that I come out is always like, I don't know if I've really told you, it's music influence. So like for me, I'll be like at the moment I'm listening to a lot more like folk, a lot more singing, R&B. You know
okay,
what I mean? Like a lot more of that sort of stuff.
yeah,
And so as a result, a lot of what I'm doing is not rap specific. You know what I mean? It's like singy, rappy. You know what I mean? More
yes,
harmony driven stuff. Um, so I guess that like to answer the question more specifically, I'll just listen to like all that stuff in the background. So it's not necessarily me listening to like inspiration. And then when I go to create, I'm quite sporadic. Like sometimes I'll sit down and I'll go through some of my favorite producers and pump through their beats, and then I'll be like, "Yep, cool, got an idea for that." Rip it, go, lay the idea down, cool, send it to someone, like that. Um, and whatever sort of comes out is inspired by what I'm going through, how I'm feeling,
Yes.
and then the music always tells me what it is.
Yeah.
As soon as the music plays, it invokes an emotion, and then the emotion drives the lyrics, and then and the melody drives like the melody that I write. So, it's always just a matter of like what
Yeah.
comes across my desk sort of thing, on my path. So it's not I don't want to say anything specifically, and it can change. Like I might be listening to fucking Otis Redding. I've been listening to John Mayer.
Yeah. So
Uh,
it's just music in general. It's not.
yeah, Sonia Data.
Yeah.
I was Sonia Data the other day.
That's dope.
Yeah,
I'm a real
but
80s person. British pop. Don't judge.
no, I don't judge.
I
Good stuff.
I literally I had the joy of creating a playlist on Spotify of like all that sort of like that. I don't know if it's British pop, that kind of romantic, that new wave kind of era, like Spandau Ballet, Depeche Mode, that kind of stuff. Like I love all that.
Have you got an iPhone?
I certainly do, yes.
All right. Have you got 15 minutes tonight?
Do I have 15 minutes to listen to something?
Yeah, 15 minutes tonight. Yeah, I'm gonna
Oh,
send
is
you
that the
some.
name of the people? Don't, I'm showing my age here, do I?
No, I'm gonna send. You got 15 minutes. I'm gonna send you a file, but try to sit and listen to it. I haven't sent you this. I can send it to you now. But I want Jay to hear it as well.
Okay.
So if he's not resting because he's probably got like a shift at
He
like
is
some stupid hour in the morning.
he is resting because yeah,
I
he is
bet.
up early, but
Hmm.
he's always trying to put me onto new stuff, and we're always
So
like,
you can put him onto some new stuff. Go be like, yo, you want that new fucking unreleased Lee Monro?
oh,
So
okay, I can't with that. That's ended now.
it's called the DJ Nina Brown special. Still runs that shit.
And
Still to this day.
every
That's
time
my
I
man. That's my bro. He'll tell you the same thing. And you know what the best thing about it is? Nino, he does it for the piss take.
just for that, because everybody
Absolutely.
like you just go, oh, can we not? How old is this? Can we just? Yep, it's all right though. It's
You know what?
it is
Batman's
what it
good. Crook and Clown.
is. Brooklyn Clan. Oh, now you're opening up the vaults, mate. Now
I don't
you're
even
opening
know.
up the
I don't
vaults.
even know who the fuck Crook and Clown are.
I don't know, but they were on the dance floor with us for many years. The Brooklyn Clan, weren't they?
They're
Good
still fucking
times,
winning the
really.
dance floor, sons of bitches. Pretty sure it's 18-year-olds, 17-year-olds even that know what the fuck that song is. They should not know.
Seriously, seriously, man. Good times though. Well, listen, you sent it to me. Yes, yes, you
Mm-hmm.
have. Thank you. We'll be
Pleasure.
having a
You
listen.
give me some feedback, please.
I certainly will. I certainly will. But listen, thank you so much for just your conversation, your honesty, your time.
Thank you.
Um,
Appreciate you.
and yeah, the creative flow, man, is I know it's good things are going to happen this year, and they've been happening. But I know out of everything we spoke about with all of the creative process of last year and the personal growth, um, I hope that this year is a lot more grounding for you for what you need, what you want. Because I know that you've got so much more to share, and you've got a community that's behind you 1,000% of the way. So we're here for it, man.
I appreciate you, 100%. Thank you so much. I appreciate. Thanks for having me on. And I know how these things run. So right now is where I do my plug. I love you all. Make sure you follow me on Instagram at Lee Monro, LeeMonro. Also, though, follow my True Wealth page because that's actually got a new artist that I'm developing at the moment. Her name is Beck Anime. So it's at True Wealth Music. Oh my God, did you see that cockroach?
Made
That
a
was amazing.
cameo.
Yeah, yeah. TRUE. Mackenzie's just like TrueWealthMusic. So yeah, just hit me on the Instagram because that's where I'm probably at most of the time. That's where most of my content is. And yeah, much love. And follow Miss Hennessy right here,
Thank
the
you.
legend.
Oh,
Yeah.
which guy? Two legends in the same room, and he was trying to he was just trying to cock block us there. So he got his
Oh,
2 seconds of fame, and that's it. Because you're gonna die tonight. You're gonna learn tonight. He's going to look tonight. You're looking at it.
yeah, he's one of those ones that look like a fucking jumper too. He doesn't look.
Yeah, I can't. I got stalked by one many years ago. I'll never forget it.
Mate,
Ever in my
this one's a special one. Yeah. I
I'm
mean,
let
it's
you
my
go.
fault. Like I got the door wide open, like right here, like to my left. So
And
yeah.
welcome to Australia, people. If you're watching this from overseas, yes, that did just happen. And yeah, this is Australia. So
Yeah, and I got my little tiny baby here, just like yeah,
you need to go
asking for it.
handle that.
Yeah,
And
she's
I'm
good.
gonna let you go. Thank you so much.
Okay,
I'll talk to you
thank
soon.
you. Love.
Bye.
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 Bye.